March of 1991, a 2.5-year-old boy plays in his yard, and the next thing you know, he's gone. Disappeared. And 34 years later, even though people think they know the answers, there is no real answers to this story. So, if you're ready to learn about this case of little Tommy Gibson, then welcome to Screams for You, and I'm V. So, turn down those lights and lock those doors. Here's a scream you can't ignore. So, there was a Christmas party in 1990, and my aunt and my uncle owned a small restaurant in Glendale, which is not far from Azalea. And they had a nice little Christmas party. Now all the older kids helped with the Christmas party, and they had games set up for all the little kids. And I'm like, 11 years old. So I'm the one in charge of all the little kids. And this is where I met Tommy Gibson and his father, the deputy sheriff of Douglas County. His name was Larry Gibson. Now, I didn't spend very much time with them, but being at that age, I heard the story as soon as it happened. So in March of 1991, it was reported that Tommy Gibson, excuse me, I haven't been feeling well, hence the no makeup. Sorry you have to see me this way, but I really wanted to get this story to you. I promise I'll have makeup on when I feel a little bit better. So I might have a little, but I'll try not to. Okay, so anyways, Tommy Gibson was playing out in his yard, and everyone heard the news right away. Azalea, where they live, where Tommy was taken, isn't far from Glendale, and Douglas County is a pretty big place. So we lived about an hour away, and we were still in Douglas County, probably about 45 minutes away. Their biggest town to them is Medford, Oregon, and that's where, Glendale was the biggest town. That was only like 10-15 minutes away from Azalea. Very thickly wooded country back in there. So really beautiful. So anyways, his mother is the one that reported Tommy Gibson missing. So the police come down, and the police don't come down right away. They tell his father, do not come into work, okay? And we're going to start setting up searches. Neighbors and everybody came out and started searching because their house was close to the woods. And as that's going on, the police start asking his father, Larry Gibson, what happened, what's been going on this morning, and all this. So the story is, this is how he tells the police. He was getting ready to go for a jog. He was going to jog 2 miles, and this jog took about 45 minutes. On his way out of the yard, he sees a stray cat, and he shoots at it. And he spends a while looking for the casing, and he couldn't find it. And as he goes to continue down the road, Tommy tries to follow him, and he sends him back up to the yard and tells him to wait for his sister. And when he gets back, his wife is frantic. Nobody can find Tommy. But there is a lot of other stuff going on behind the scenes. So, come to find out, they started questioning everybody. First, they questioned his older sister. And his older sister, who he was waiting for, is only 4 years old at the time. So 4 years old, that's very important to know. His wife reported that, she heard the shot. And she said that, Larry was probably only gone for on his jog for about 20 minutes before he returned. When he got home from his jog, despite being told that he did not need to come into work and be on duty, he took a shower, put on his uniform, and got in his patrol car and left. He was gone for about 15 minutes and nobody knows where. When he returned, he started telling everybody to stop searching for his son because it was snowing. You get some snow in Oregon and up in the mountains up in there, you get a little more than you do down in the valley, of course. But not enough to stop a search for your missing child. I can tell you that much. I don't think snow would stop me from finding my missing child. They asked the daughter, what did you see? And at first she said nothing. And then when she was questioned again, she said that she seen a gold or tan truck with 2 people in it stop up in their driveway, run up, grab Tommy, put him in their truck, and drive off. They questioned everybody around town, and at first nothing came of it. And a couple of days later, an eyewitness came forward saying that she did see the same truck, and she thought it was suspicious because the license plate was on upside down or in the wrong spot or something strange like that, and that's why she took note of it. But she didn't come forward with this after hearing about the story that Tommy's older sister told. And it just gets stranger and stranger from there. So the police search all over for information about this car. All over town. They look everywhere in all the surrounding towns. They can't find any other descriptions of it. Anybody else who's even seen it or nothing at all. There is no trace. Considering the missing time, the taking the patrol car, the being in uniform, telling people to quit looking for his son, they brought in Tommy's father, Larry Gibson, for questioning. And, they're trying to get a confession out of him. So they set up a little bit of a scenario. And they're like, hey, we understand if it's an accident. You shot that cat, which he claims he missed, by the way. You shot that cat, and it missed. It hit your son, and you panicked. So, tell us, and let's go from here. And the strange thing is that he said, I could see that very well being the right scenario. That's all he said about it. He didn't deny it, and he didn't say anything else that happened. Now, this cat, the story with this cat is there are a bunch of feral cats. They're causing problems on the property. So he decides to shoot it, but he misses, and he wanted to gather that casing so that Tommy didn't get a hold of it. But he couldn't find it. Well, they did find the cat. Not very far out in the beginning of a wooded area that was laying there, and it was determined that the cat would have died right away and that the bullet went straight through. So the police had very good probable cause for this being the scenario that they presented to him of exactly what happened to his son. They asked him, did you take your patrol car out? He denied it. He said he did not take his patrol car out at all. And when they said we checked the mileage, because it is a state car, or I guess it would be a state car. City? I'm not for sure on that. So they checked the mileage, and they found out, he's just lying about this crap. That there is unaccounted miles for on this car. And he said, oh, yeah, that's right. I did take it after I first heard the news, and I got into my uniform and everything so that I would be safer when I went out to look for the people who took my son, and I went to the nearest rest area. They can't confirm or deny this, but it seems awfully suspicious. I mean, just like carrying a gun to go on a jog. It's wooded in Oregon, but it's not like living in like Alaska or Idaho where you're chasing bear and elk down the road. You know, it's not quite like that. The chances are a lot slimmer there to run into any kind of trouble. Maybe cougars, but you know, even though it's more out in that town, there's not a lot of cougar attacks out there. So, anyways, what happens after this is they have no proof of nothing. Nothing's going anywhere. The search continues for a long time for Tommy, and nobody finds him. Larry resigns from being the deputy chief, and him and his wife and his daughter leave. A couple years later, in 1992, his wife returns back to Oregon with their daughter and another little daughter in tow without Larry. She had divorced him, and that was the end of that. And when she came back to town, rumors swirled a lot, you know, like everyone knew that she was back in town, and everyone was waiting for her to come forward now that he was gone, to come and say something. And that's exactly what she did. She brought her daughter forward. She claimed that there was a lot of abuse in the family all the time, and especially towards Tommy. And Tommy's sister, her name was Karen, she said that she saw her father beat Tommy, put him in a trash bag, and put him in the patrol car. Later, it came out that his sister-in-law reported that he had called her and told her that he had accidentally killed Tommy and that he's probably going to need some bail money. So they're getting all this information. Now, mind you, I still think Karen's a 4-year-old girl. And maybe him beating Tommy is not exactly what she's seen. But we'll get into that. So they go and they arrest him. And they had a lot of hard times during the trial with this because they still haven't found Tommy. And all they have is everybody's stories of what happened. A lot of stuff tried to get thrown out of court because of hearsay. But it just wasn't flying. The town, I don't think, would have had it if they would have let him go a second time. But he only got charged with manslaughter and served 3 years. 3 years. That's it. Is that justice for Tommy? I mean, I don't think so. He still claims his innocence to this day. He has a Facebook page that has rewards up and wants people to post any information if they see Tommy. So, you know, if you know something, go ahead and check it out. If you're out there, you know, we have age progression of what he would look like today, 34 years later. In my opinion, and almost the whole town's opinion. I know a lot of the newspapers would say, town split on whether he's innocent or guilty. And no, there may have been like 10% of Douglas County who thought that man was innocent. And everybody else swore, even the police, that he shot his son on accident, on purpose. I mean, he was abusive. He could have done it on purpose. But the fact that they found the dead cat, Tommy was playing in the yard, it's looking like an accident. So how do you explain what little Karen saw? Well, she's 4 years old. And I'm sure that if somebody seen me trying my hardest, pounding on my son's chest to give him CPR, they might think I'm beating him to death also. So the story goes, nobody really knows what happened to Tommy. He was featured at the very end of Soul Asylum's Runaway Train video. He was also the youngest child and featured on there. And that was right before the all the trial and all the verdict. And he isn't removed. He isn't considered found. And I do believe his case isn't considered closed. So what happened, what really happened to little Tommy Gibson? Will we ever know? I mean, you can't say. My guess is probably someday somebody will stumble upon his remains. But he could be out there living a happy life or not. But if you have any information, the Missing Children's Hotline is always available. And thanks for going through this personal story with me. And don't forget to have a creepy night.